Yo, what's going on, gamers? It's Ryan 6 days a week, and just last Friday, we got a huge update from the lead dev of Ironmace, the creators of Dark and Darker, regarding the state of the game and the next wipe. Now, this happened live on Jay Griffia's stream on Twitch, as SDF hit him up for a casual chat, but it more or less turned into a Q&A session that lasted around 2.5 hours long. Now, the important date is September 6th. On this date, there will be a full wipe. So quests, items, and levels will be cleared. Things you'll keep will be your character's name and of course your cosmetics. Speaking of cosmetics, the quest cosmetics for this season are out, and you can get them by completing the Tavern Master, Goblin Merchant, and the Collector's quest chain. In return, you'll get a Mummy skin from the Tavern Master, the Goblin Dance from the Goblin Merchant, and a Campfire Bone Collector skin from the Collector. Alright, now let's talk about what the devs have planned content-wise for the September wipe. First, a new matchmaking system. Now in this new system, there will not be a pre-game lobby, so therefore no way to inspect who is in your lobby. This of course will help with stream sniping, and will help with the pre-teaming issues that some players have been running into. This new matchmaking system may arrive before the wipe in an early version, roughly 2 weeks from now, as we've heard from SDF. I imagine the first version of this system will not incorporate the gathering hall and will be quite primitive. Maybe it'll just be you with your team in the lobby and a timer to show your elapsed matchmaking time. That's just a guess for now, since we're very limited on information. Now, the next big content update that's coming in September is the arena. The arena has been quite a complex project for the team since its first inception. Now, the arena is planned to release only on the testing server to start, so the Hold the Line users, or the early supporters of the game, will have access to this server. I can't imagine it'll be just limited to these Hold the Line users, so do expect some way to access the arena before its full release. Now, in terms of what arena will actually behave like, it sounds like the devs did have a testing day where they hosted an in-house arena tournament. Now, the first edition of the arena sounds like it will be a no loot loss system. So, you go in with your best gear that you get from the dungeon, and you bash it out in the arena without any risk of losing your gear. You will lose utility items that you bring in there, that was specifically stated by SDF, but it sounds like gear will not be exchanging hands, at least for this first edition. Additionally, it sounds like with the arena release, the devs do want to put on some sort of player tournament regarding the arena. Not entirely sure how they will balance this tournament since you can bring in your own gear, but I do hope an event like this would be normalized.
And today's game day, we are playing the arena, like a tournament.
Nice.
Yeah, because I want to make a tournament for our players or something. I don't know. I want to make an event with the audience and so on. Yeah,
That'd be cool.
Now for the actual maps that the arena will take place in, it does sound like they're going to be on existing modules in a 2x2 layout, with potentially some monsters scattered around. I'm not sure if there will be any looting inside the map, since the devs have not commented on that, but it does sound like, in terms of the map size, they are settling on a 2x2. Moving on, it sounds like the runes will be coming back at the start of the next season, in its new form. They didn't really discuss the specifics of the map itself, but I imagine based on its previous issues, there will be more closed spaces, tighter modules, and fewer ways to rush through a module, like jumping over the short walls. The runes map will feature a new boss, or potentially 2 new bosses, in a format similar to the Goblin Caves. This runes map will be standalone as well, so it will not lead to the crypts as it did in the past, and currently, no map will lead into the runes. Now, I don't have any information on the new monsters or items that we'll find in the runes, but I expect some sort of update soon, maybe within the next week, so keep your eyes out for that. Up next, Jay and SDF talked about the gem socketing system. Now, the system is very much primitive in its development, but SDF was interested in replacing some of the item's random modifiers with gem socket slots. He even teased at the idea of removing random modifiers entirely and making it a completely socket system, But he did state that he thinks it would upset a lot of the players, so they're going to take small steps into the system first to see how the majority of the players enjoy it.
Yeah, I just want to get rid of the random modifiers, but yeah, the players were angry, going mad.
I mean,
I
think everything's worth trying, just to see how it plays out and something.
Yeah, but I will trying this the next season, in the next season. Yeah.
Cool. Really cool.
Yeah, but yeah, maybe we are trying to make a little showcase system for that, but the not too much.
Sure.
Let's imagine about that. You can make your own ocean from the diamond or emerald or something, and you can how can I using what word is proper word, I don't know, but there is some sockets in the items. For example, just only one socket for item, and you can make your own item with new gems. Then there's no random. Just random is remain in the game. The when you get items, that's just only the random. Then maybe the item price will going to lower, and you can easily get the items. Then if you die, your stress is going to less. That's a synergy, I think. Yeah.
Now, a big point that SCF does make here is that if players are given the option to build their own roles with gems, then potentially there will be less of a setback on player deaths, since they won't need to grind through the dungeons to pick up those random modifiers. They could just shoot for specific gems and then craft those into the items they need. Now, we did get an update on the religion system, which SCF and Terrence originally teased in the One Peg interview a couple weeks back. It sounds like there's going to be a total of 3 religions, and each will have their own color-coded sash for players to wear. Now, any visual indicator of allegiance can cause some issues with teaming, especially in a game that's full loot. So, if the system does fail and there's too much teaming, it will be removed. SCF stated that. It sounds like for now though, when you are part of a religion, you can donate gold to your religious deity for some sort of effect. This could be just an item drop or just a random boost, maybe undead damage or goblin damage in the dungeon. We're not quite sure yet, they didn't get into that. But it does sound like the religion system will be coming in the September wipe in its primitive form. Next we have the Sorcerer Class, which will arrive in a very, very early form. Think early Bard or even early Warlock. It won't be fleshed out like the Druid on release. The Sorcerer Class will be able to cast with both of its hands, making it quite unique compared to the other casting classes. Now it does sound like this will replace the Wizard for the flashy, high burst damage, high magic damage class, but Jay and SDF did discuss giving the Wizard more utility spells. The Reaper teleport from Overwatch, a channeled, delayed teleport, was brought up between Jay and SDF, and it sounded like he was interested, though cautious, since any kind of displacement or movement ability in-game can teeter too overpowered, since the game's combat is primarily focused on positioning. Now, in regard to the new matchmaking system, which was brought up earlier in their conversation, the Gathering Hall, or new social space, was talked about, and it sounds like we will be seeing it sometime next season. Maybe not right on wipe day, but they do want to implement some sort of social space to replace the pre-game tavern lobbies. And to keep those social spaces interesting, SCF hinted at 2 new playable races. One being the Cat People, or Tabaxi, and 2, the Crowman, or Crow-Human Hybrid. We're not entirely sure what the stats will be on these classes, but for the most part, I think they'll be minimal like the other classes. Additionally, for anyone who did miss out on previous quest reward races, like last season's Ice Skeleton, it sounds like the dev team does plan to have these in the shop, just delayed by a wipe. So, last season's wipe skins will be released in next season's shop, and this will continue down the line. Alright, now let's talk about projects that are further out, so past next season, potentially in the December wipe, as stated by SDF. First, we have the water-themed map. So we got runes confirmed for next wipe, and potentially another new map confirmed for the wipe after.
Next season, Ruin will come back, and we are trying to renew to Ruin. Yeah.
Nice. You're also doing that water map, right? Is that looking pretty good?
Oh, water map is next season.
Next season.
Yeah, we are aiming. It will be coming December. Yeah.
Since the team was busy working on the runes map, there really weren't many details given on the water map. Besides, they want the druid to have a penguin or aquatic form, and players will be able to fight some sort of jellyfish. It was quite vague, but they did state that there is going to be swimming, so think of a completely underwater fight, I would imagine. Next, now this is definitely a long-term project and we may not see it in December, is a player review system for banning hackers. The discussion that happened here was more akin to the Overwatch system built into CSGO. So a pool of trusted players can sign up for this system and they'll be able to watch clips of high roller combat interactions and decide if reports are valid or not. I imagine these will then be pushed to the devs at a priority list, depending on how many votes they got that the players were hacking. Again, this is just one theory of how the system would behave. No actual development time has been committed to this system yet. Next we have guilds and guild wars, and with the guilds comes the guild halls and personal rooms, where players and teams of players can pool in their achievements to decorate with their trophies. Now, this is very much a long-term stretch goal, and they probably don't have any development time put into the system quite yet. I imagine the devs want to see some positive data from the religion system before they commit to a guild system, since of course it can encourage even more teaming. Next, Jay touched on some social games, or, well, the Gamba system, that could potentially enter in the Gathering Hall, so players could play poker with each other, or some other non-combat ways to exchange gold and maybe gear pieces. Now, SCF stated that it could be fun, but of course there'd be some legal barriers, especially with the game's rating. Honestly, this is probably one of the lower priority items on the devs list. Now, one topic that was asked by chat repeatedly was the status of the Quivers and Backpacks, since we did see a rebuild of the inventory system last wipe. Right now, it does sound like Quivers and Backpacks are temporarily put on hold, since they are still working out the kinks with the inventory rework. I did put this in the further down the line category, but this could be something we see next wipe. We just don't really have any information on this quite yet. All we know is that they're going to somehow interact with the 2 extra inventory slots in the player's inventory, and there might be some sort of negative to wearing a backpack full of loot. So either a move speed penalty, or maybe you won't be able to attack with the backpack on. We really don't know yet. And finally, to really expand on the adventure feel when you dive into the dungeon, SCF brought up randomized modules and potentially larger maps. Now, right now, Dark and Darker has adopted the system of perfectly square modules, since they do hope to have scrambled maps in the future. But SCF also mentioned that they do want to expand on larger maps, and therefore larger pool sizes of players entering the maps. The only hold right now is due to server performance, since larger maps mean more monsters and players, and in general just more things to load and control by the server. Though at the current moment this is a low priority item, it does sound like SCF is interested in committing some R&D to this specific game feature. Now, to recap, by next wipe, we should expect to see the new matchmaking system, a first version of the arena, at least on the testing branch, the return of the runes map, which will be newly updated, and a new runes boss, the first edition of the gem socketing system, a new religion system, denoted by player sashes, a first look of the new Sorcerer Class, the new Gathering Hall social space, and 2 new player races, the Cat People and the Crow People. Now, for projects we will see further down the line, so potentially as early as the December wipe, we have the water-themed map, the player hacker review system, guilds and guild wars, the guild hall and personal rooms, social games, or the big gamba in the social spaces, quivers and backpacks, and random and larger maps. Now, as a reminder gamers, in no way is this a definitive roadmap for Ironmace. We may even see some turbulence in the near future, as it sounds like the final court date for the ongoing Nexon lawsuit will happen sometime mid-September. Even if Ironmace wins this court case, sounds like it's still gonna be quite a long battle, which we'll save for another video. The story itself is happening in real time, but I hope someday I can capture all that has happened and share it with you. Alright gamers, I'm looking forward to the September wipe and all of its new updates, and I hope you are too. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out in the comments below, or find me streaming on Twitch and ask them there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.